against all odds. In a quiet corner of the country, tucked behind a row of dusty hills and whispering trees, was a village named Abuho. It wasn't on any major map. Even Google Maps gave up halfway. But to the people who lived there, it was paradise. Not for the fancy roads or flashing lights, they had neither. It was the laughter in the air, the way neighbors argued and still shared food, the sound of goats fighting with chickens over leftover banku. Life was simple. Life was loud. And right in the middle of it all was Kofi Lumano. 17 years old, skinny as a broomstick but twice as smart, with a head full of ideas and feet that couldn't stay still. If Kofi wasn't fixing someone's broken radio with a bent nail, he was skipping class to help an old woman carry her firewood, then using that as an excuse when the teacher flogged him. He had dreams. Big ones. Bigger than the village itself. He wanted to be an engineer, a world changer, a somebody. But for now, he studied under a mango tree with an old textbook that had been passed down like an heirloom. The corners were chewed by rats, and some pages had been replaced with his little sister's coloring paper. That morning started like any other. Kofi woke up to his mother shouting at the neighbor's goat, which had once again broken into their compound. He stretched, washed his face with cold water from a yellow container, and dashed out with a bucket on his head. Along the way, he cracked jokes with the local barber, who still used a blade instead of clippers. He teased the tailor's son, who wore his trousers backward. He even attempted to speak English to the chief's son, who ignored him as usual. Life in the village had rhythm, and Kofi danced to it daily. But that afternoon, as the sun leaned lazily over the horizon, the village square suddenly filled with noise. Not the usual market chorus or children playing football with a wrapped-up sock. This was different. The postman had arrived. Now, the postman wasn't exactly a celebrity. He came maybe once every 2 weeks, usually bringing bills nobody could pay or letters for people who had moved to Accra 5 years ago. But today, he was blowing his whistle like he'd found gold. The villagers gathered under the big baobab tree. Children climbed onto shoulders, and elders adjusted their wrappers. Kofi stood at the back, chewing on a sugarcane stick, completely unaware that his life was about to change. The postman cleared his throat dramatically and read from a white envelope, his voice shaking like a preacher at a revival. Dear Kofi Lumano, you have been awarded the National Excellence Scholarship. Full tuition, accommodation, books, and monthly allowance. For a moment, there was silence. Complete silence. Then the village exploded. Old women danced with their headscarves in the air. Someone fainted, possibly out of joy or just hit. Uncle Kwame ran in shouting, "I told you. My nephew is a government property now." Then he grabbed a megaphone he didn't need and gave a speech in what he believed was polished English. My fellow contingents of this moment, I want to pronounce that we are very congratulatory for this scholarship occasion. No one understood him, but they clapped wildly. The drummers from last month's funeral even came out to perform. It was as if the village had won the World Cup. But for them, it was even bigger. The next morning was pure chaos. Kofi's mother was trying to pack his bag, but every auntie insisted something important had to go in. One added dried pepper. Another threw in a bar of local soap. One tried to sneak in a cooked tilapia, in case the city food has no taste. Uncle Kwame stood by, wearing a suit jacket over shorts and giving unsolicited advice. "Kofi, listen. In the city, girls wear eyelashes like antenna. They can smell a village boy from 10 miles. Don't let them use your heart like a power bank." His mother hugged him quietly. No advice. Just love. She pulled out a bracelet, handmade from beads and thread, and tied it around his wrist. "This," she whispered, "is to remind you where you come from. You are my son, no matter how tall the buildings get." Then, with a plastic bag full of dry plantain chips, a heart full of hope, and nerves twisted like wire, Kofi boarded a rusty minibus bound for the capital. The city hit him like cold water. Tall glass buildings, cars that didn't slow down, people who walked like they were late for something even when they weren't. He was amazed. Escalators confused him. He waved at a mannequin. He got stuck in a revolving door for 3 full rotations. He even tried to tip a bathroom sensor tap with coins. People stared. Some laughed. A few pointed. But he didn't mind, not too much, at least. The real shock came at orientation. Kofi, determined to start well, sat at the front of the hall. He squinted at the projector, laughed too loudly, and wrote notes on the cover of his notebook because he didn't realize the first page was blank. Then she walked in. Zara Mensah. Beautiful, graceful, and clearly out of his league. Her clothes looked like they cost more than his entire family's income for the year. And when she walked past him, even the air shifted. Kofi stared. And stared. And forgot where he was. Then came the introductions. When it was his turn, he stood up confidently, but his nerves betrayed him. My name is, Kofi Lumano. I mean Lumano. From Mango. I mean, Mango Junction District. He cleared his throat and tried to sound scholarly. I am very academically motivated to elevate my elevation. The hall erupted. Laughter bounced off the walls. Phones were out. Videos were recorded. And somewhere in the middle, Zara chuckled, not out of malice, but Kofi didn't know that. That night, back in his tiny hostel room, Kofi lay on his foam mattress, staring at the ceiling. He opened his phone. The video had already gone viral on campus. Village boy butchers English live. Is he serious or acting? Luminarium is a planet, ABI. He didn't cry. He just stared at the bracelet on his wrist. His mother's voice echoed in his head, no matter how tall the buildings get. He breathed in deep, and whispered to himself. Tomorrow. I begin again. They'll see. And somewhere back in the village, Uncle Kwame was gathering members for the Kofi International Fan Association, printing t-shirts with the wrong spelling of his name. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales.